Joining us for a conversation is the Grizz, Mr. Brian Testo, to discuss Grizzly Discoveries, which is exploring metals of tomorrow in British Columbia. Mr. Testo, welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning, Maurice. Thank you for having me.
Well, glad to have you on the program to share the value proposition before us in Grizzly Discoveries. Before we begin, Mr. Testo, please introduce us to Grizzly Discoveries and what is the opportunity your company presents to the market?
Grizzly Discoveries is a junior exploration company that holds a huge land package in Greenwood, BC, as well as another package in by Cranbrook in BC called the Robocop. We've been around for 15 years. We've been exploring in the area of Greenwood and for about 13 of them 15 years. But having said that, there was about 8 or 9 years when the junior markets were pretty ugly. And you'll remember 2008, 2011. And 2016, you couldn't raise no money. So we didn't do a whole lot of exploration. We kept our land package together, and we kept the company together by hook and by crook just to keep everybody happy. We raised money in 2022, and we actually started doing more prospecting and drilling and keeping everything up to date. Other than that, we were just doing small programs.
All right. Now, germane to the rich mining history in the region, this could be one of the most opportune times to become a shareholder if one considers where Grizzly Discoveries is now in the mining cycle.
Well, right now we're in elephant country. We want to make a major discovery, one or two major discoveries. And I do believe on our property, we have the potential to make one or two or more major discoveries. There's so much potential in that area. It's unbelievable. We've spent the money that we have spent prospecting and drilling and developing it and doing geophysics and other things. We've done the heavy lifting. Now we've identified where our main targets are and where we're going to continue in the future drilling, and we're going to hit a major deposit.
Let's find out more. Mr. Testo, Grizzly Discoveries has an impressive land tenure of over, 160,000 continuous acres. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, there's actually 165,000 contiguous acres in the prolific Greenwood, BC area, the Greenwood mining district, where 7 million ounces of gold has been mined in the past, and over 1 billion pounds of copper, and that's a billion with a B. We'll go into the history of Greenwood later in the interview, I think, but right now, what I'm saying is we got huge potential.
Now, share with us also, who are some of your neighbors in that region?
Kinross had the Buckhorn mine about 7 miles. I think it's about, I'll go in miles instead of kilometers, but about 7 miles away. All our property in the Greenwood borders the U.S. border. We're tied up against the U.S. border. We got about 35 miles of length of our ground that borders the U.S. border. Kinross was in there, Hecla, and Caliber mines. We're in there. In the past, there was all kinds of different American mining companies working the copper and the gold and silver in the area.
Oh, rich mining history. Now let's visit the project portfolio. Sir, take us into the prolific Republic Greenwood Gold District and provide us with an overview of the Greenwood properties.
Well, in 1905, the town of Greenwood had 3 copper smelters. They were the biggest copper producer in the Dominion. A couple big mining companies in the States tried to undermine the copper value of the area, but they didn't do it. It produced, like I said earlier, 7 million ounces of gold and 40-mile area, and billions of pounds of copper, and I don't even know how much silver. It was a tremendous amount of silver. And the potential is still there to hit more.
Now, in terms of work delineation, what work has your team conducted on the Greenwoods claim groups as a whole, and what metals are you targeting?
We did geophysics. When we first got the property, we flew with helicopter. We've done several thousands of ground samples. We've done prospecting. We've used new technology on it, which I'll get into later.
All right, sir. Now, the Greenwood properties host a number of highly prospective targets/projects that have blue sky potential in terms of high-grade gold and silver. Let's visit the first target, the Midway, which looks to have high-grade gold potential. Tell us about the target and some of the recent successes there.
Okay, and at the Midway, we owned the big block of the Midway. There was about 400, 500 acres in the middle that we didn't own. A prospector named Dan Hurd owned that property.
Another great thing about this partnership I've got in with Grizzly Discoveries and put the correct permits in. They work with the ministry all the time, so they're going to make sure that all the right permits are in, and it's something they do on a daily basis, so it's easy for them where it's a lot of work for me. Well, I am so excited about this partnership, and I think that mine is going to produce a lot in real short order. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I am happy to have a partnership with you, Grizz.
Left to left is heart to heart.
And if you want to get in on the action, as I said, Grizzly Discoveries is traded publicly on the TSX.
TSX, OTC, and then in Frankfurt, Germany. Our symbol's GZD in Canada, GZDIF in United States, and G6H in Frankfurt Exchange in Germany.
There we go.
He did a deal with us in October of 2022 on that property, and we've done prospecting and grab sampling of the old historic mines that are around there. And we came up, the grab samples came up with numbers of 2 ounces of gold per ton, 78 ounces of silver, and smatterings of copper and other things in the deposit. So what we've done since then is, after we did the deal with Dan and got that block in the middle, there's a new geophysics system that came out in months before we used it in Australia. I'm having a senior moment here. Called the loop. So we run the loop on it, and the reason we got to use the loop on the Midway was because our consulting geologist, Michael Dufresne from Apex Geoscience, has an office in Australia, and the technology came out of Australia, and they actually tested it on our ground. And we came back with huge anomalous targets, big targets that we're going to be drilling in 23 and forward.
Now, sticking with high-grade potential, take us to the Imperial Mine. What specifically has your team excited here? And tell us about some of the recent successes there as well.
Well, we've got at the Imperial Mine, I'm going top of my head here, but I believe the assay results were in the magnitude of 55 ounces of silver per ton. All these mines were old, small producing mines in the past, and the reason that they shut down wasn't because they ran out of ore. The reason was because the price of silver went down, and the war was on, and this happened and that happened, but the ore is still there.
Now, speaking of high grade, how about copper? I understand that the Greenwood hosts some copper there as well. Talk to us about is it pronounced Sapaho target?
The Sappho target. Actually, it's good you brought up the Sappho, because out of all our ground, which is huge, the Sappho is my favorite project. It has been since day one, since I first walked on it. We have got samples there of up to 10% copper. That's 10% on grab samples. We drilled and we got some platinum, vanadium. There's gold, silver, and huge copper potential. Last year, we sent our prospectors out to look at some of the ground we hadn't looked at on the project, and they found 2 or 3 new occurrences of really high-grade copper, and it's right up tight against the U.S. border.
Oh, very intriguing. Take us to, is it KET 28? What is the opportunity there?
KET 28 is a gold system that we drilled early on in 2011. I believe we punched a couple holes into it, and we got some grades of 12 to 15 grams. So what that'd be half an ounce of gold per ton in 10, 12 meters. And what we've done since then is we did a couple small drill programs there, and it's a low grade deposit. There's lots and lots of potential there. It's low grade with a few high grade intersections. We I think it was 2021 we joint ventured it out with another company at Highvale, and they've done regional work, and they did ground geophysics and different ground sampling to find where often the main showings, because it's another big block, and it does border the U.S. as well.
All right, let's move on to the Dayton Sidley. What is the value proposition there?
The Dayton Sidley is it's copper. It's high copper. I believe it has silver in it. We did some drilling there, and we got some 0.2% copper equivalent from the gold and silver that's in it.
All right, and finally, let's visit the Mother Lode claim block. What has Grizzly excited there?
The Mother Lode is the one of the main historic mines that was there. It was underground to start with, and then they did an open pit. And we have all the ground on top of where the old mine was, and we're looking at picking up the actual old mine pit. And you can walk through there, Maurice, and there's high grade jumps out at you. I mean, there's more high grade in their dump than a lot of companies are mining. It's like huge potential there. So we punched a few holes into it, and we're going to spend more time and look at where the big deposit is.
All right, we've covered gold, silver, and copper, but there's one more metal I think we can cover, and that's cobalt. What can you share with us about cobalt?
Well, in the Greenwood area, we have smatterings of cobalt, but our main project for cobalt is Robocop, which is about 250 kilometers away to the east. It's a separate property, about 12,000 acres, which we will go into later in the interview. We've also got, at the Sappho, we hit platinum, palladium, and we got lead and zinc as well. Like some of the grab samples and different things, we got up to 60% zinc and lead in veins in some of the systems. So we have all the battery metals covered, as well as critical minerals, as well as gold and silver. So it comes as a big package.
Now, before we leave the Greenwood properties, can you get us up to speed on the work that your team plans to conduct this year?
What we plan on doing is we're about probably a couple weeks away from permitting the Midway, the Imperial, and the Sappho for drilling. We've planned a fairly significant drill program contingent to raising money, which we are doing right now. So we're going to be doing that, as well as prospecting and doing some more geophysics and soil sampling. I mean, the thing is, with the block that we have in Greenwood, there's some ground, although we've held it for 13 years, there's some ground we haven't even walked on, and there's potential on there. So we're going to be doing drilling and prospecting and move everything forward.
All right. Leaving the Greenwoods. We talked about the Robocop just a minute ago. Introduce us to the Robocop and specifically the metals your team is exploring for, the work, and the results your team is excited about there.
Okay, we picked up the Robocop a few years back. We've done geophysics on it. There's a bunch of targets. We've applied for drill permits. The Robocop is down by Cranbrook, BC. It again borders the U.S. border, and there's a reason why all our properties border the U.S. border, and I'm going to tell you that later in the interview. But in the Robocop, they have their own power system. One of the farmers' family put in a hydroelectric generator, so they got their own power. There's very good infrastructure there. It's we have the permits from the government. We just have to talk to the indigenous people there, and once we get the permits there, we will be drilling.
Now, where's the Robocop in relation to the Greenwoods?
It's about 260 kilometers due east of the Greenwood. So about, what's that, miles? 150 miles?
Roger that. Okay.
It's a separate standalone property, and we would call it our second flagship.
And that was my next question. Is this a non-core asset or is it a second flagship? So you've answered it.
It'll be a second flagship. We're quite excited about the Robocop. We have been. There's a few permitting issues there, but other than that, we will get past that and we will make a discovery there as well.
Now, is the plan to drill there this year as well?
If we can get the permits and things and we get enough money, we would be drilling there, definitely.
All right. Leaving the project site, let's discuss some important topics germane to your projects, beginning with reversionary interests. Are there any on your projects, meaning are they 100% owned, sir?
Everything that we have is 100% owned, except for the Ket-28, which we JV'd in 2021, 2022, and we own 20% of the Ket-28, which is about 7,000 acres. But out of the, say there's 155,000 acres on that one that we own, on the Greenwood that we own 100% of, and the Robocop is 100% owned.
All right, we're going to get into some numbers later in this discussion, but from a capital expenditure standpoint, how is the infrastructure on all of your projects?
The infrastructure at the Greenwood is fantastic. It's an old mining camp. Highway 3, which is the main highway in British Columbia, runs right through the middle of our property. We have power lines, we have pipelines there, and better than that, we have people, descendants of the old miners that are mining people. So you have people to do the work that already live in the small towns around there, and they all want mining. And it's very friendly mining area, and the indigenous people in Greenwood area, Chief Louis is one of the best. He is the best indigenous leader to deal with because he's a progressive guy. He wants good paying jobs for his people, and together with stewardship of the land, and we look after the land. We're not there to destroy anything. We're there to make good jobs and high-paying jobs and make the land better than it was when we got. So we got that, and then at the Robocop, the same infrastructure. Like I said, there's hydroelectric energy. There's roads. There's not. We don't use a helicopter for anything on any of our properties. 99% of our properties you could drive your Cadillac to if you wanted.
All right.
You might bruise it a bit, but it's very accessible.
All right. Now, is the ultimate goal for Grizzly Discoveries to build a mine or discovery and then sell your project?
Well, we have people on our team that have put mines into production. We have the basically what we'll do is when we do, and we will hit a major discovery, we will see what's best for the shareholders. If it's better to sell it to a bigger player, then we will do that. If it's better to mine it, whatever's going to be more profitable for the shareholder.
All right, we've discussed the good. Let's address the bad. What can go wrong, and what are your action plans to mitigate that wrong?
Well, I mean, what can go wrong? A nuclear bomb can go off and we can all die. I can't do nothing about that. But we're an exploration company. Our results might not come up to what we need, although I do believe they will. I can't see anything going wrong that we have control of. Something that can go wrong that I don't or my team does not have control of, we can't do nothing about.
Roger that, sir. All right, switching gears, let's discuss the people responsible for increasing shareholder value. Who is Brian the Grizz Testo, and what makes him qualified for the task at hand?
Well, I don't like blowing my own horn, but I'll tell you, I started out picking up rocks when I was 3 years old. I'm 71 now, so I got a bit of experience in that. I've taken a few projects that are like a gravel resource. I developed it into a very high value gravel pit. I've been in business most of my life. I started out as a tradesman. I got several trades. I've been in the market for 52 years trading stock. Basically, what I do is I figured out a long time ago, you don't have to be the sharpest knife in the drawer to run a company. What you have to do is be able to identify and hire or get people involved that have way more knowledge than I do to move things forward. So I would say that my biggest thing is I don't have an ego. I don't care who gets the credit for finding the deposit. What I look for is I put together people that are very, very loyal. And I could go into some stories that would blow your mind about how some of our people are loyal and have worked for us for a few years without getting paid because they believed in me, they believed in our projects, and we got some of the highest caliber people in the field in Grizzly.
Yeah, I remember you sharing some of those stories, those personal stories, and of your team making those sacrifices and the belief in the vision and future of Grizzly Discoveries. Let's talk about some of those people. Please introduce us to your board of directors.
Okay, well, we'll start off with Sam Pillersdorf is a doctor in Toronto and a real estate developer, and he's involved in several other mining companies. He's got a lot of mining experience and knowledge. I mean, I've been talking to geologists. I'm not a geologist. I've been talking to geologists all my life. And Sam has more understanding of geology than I do. He's a very good businessman, and he helps us along the way with his experiences. Joe Price is a geologist, and she has an MBA, and she's worked with several companies. She's been on discovery things, and she brings a whole bunch to the table. Jimmy Grigg is an MBA and a geologist, and he's been involved with huge companies, and both in the oil and gas field and the mining companies. And he does he knows the people in finance. He knows how to put together different things.
Well, how about your management team? Who's on your management team there, sir?
Mike Dufresne from Apex Geoscience huge experience to the team. He does he does all the technical stuff. He's brought mines into production. He's a big company. He's got 150 to 200 people working for him, and he's working on every continent in the world except for Antarctica. And so he brings all that. He's got engineers working for him, geologists, different things, and he brings all that to the table for Grizzly because he believes in the Greenwood. And to be honest, the Greenwood was his project that we brought in. He convinced me to get into the Greenwood because he'd worked there as a junior geologist a lot of years ago, and he loved the area and he knew the potential. So we have huge people on our team that can take us. Either we're going to go into a mine or we're going to go into a joint venture or whatever we're going to do. We have the capability to handle whatever comes our way.
All right. Anyone on your technical team that you'd like to cover?
Pardon?
Anyone on your technical team that you would like to cover with us?
Well, Mike is on the technical team as well as all the directors, and then we have Nancy Mascott, who's been with us for IR and vice president. She's president, she's corporate development, president of corporate development. She's been with us for a long time. She has experience in the capital markets and different things on promotional stuff. And like she worked for us for 5 years without getting paid when times were tough. We have very loyal people on our team.
Yeah, that speaks volumes. Tip my hats off to her. All right, let's look at some numbers. Sir, please provide the capital structure for Grizzly Discoveries.
Right now we're sitting at, I believe, I'm going off the top of my head here, but 141 million outstanding. I believe there's 24 million options and warrants, but if them 24 million get exercised, we'll have 2.1 million in the bank to use for drilling and development. I own around 13 million shares of Grizzly, which I paid, lots of them I paid $1 for when we first came out. We came out at $1. I put, when we started Grizzly, I put $1 million into it, so of my own coin, so I got skin in the game. Plus, I participated in every financing has been, and I've made sacrifices to get there. So we have. I'm sorry, I'm rambling here.
Oh no, sir. So you just highlighted your belief in the company. How about other significant shareholders? Who else has a belief in Grizzly Discoveries?
Well, there's friends and family own about 30%, we believe. Maybe it's probably higher, but we're being conservative there. Sprott put money into it a couple of years back into a placement we did about, I believe it was about 7%. It's mostly retail people in it.
Well, that's a big feather in your cap if you can get Sprott to deploy capital into you there. And just to make sure, in case I missed it, how much debt do you have?
0.
That's a good number. on the debt side.
We have no debt, and we will never have debt.
All right, I can get on board
because
with that.
That's one thing we don't do. We do not do anything unless the money's in the bank.
You know, something else that maybe you didn't brag or boast about, but to be in business for 16, 17 years and to only have 140,000 shares outstanding.
140 million.
140 million. That in and of itself is outstanding. So that is...
and no rollback.
Yeah.
We've never, ever had a rollback. And as long as I'm at the helm, we won't. Because I've been involved in investing in several companies. And Maurice, I've never in my life ever made money on a rollback. Ever. Never.
Hey.
And I will never roll back the shares.
All right. And what is your burn rate?
Shoot me.
I'm sorry.
If somebody wants to roll back the shares, they'll have to shoot me and bury me before we roll back.
Okay, well, we know that will never happen there. Okay. Just wanted to find out here as well, what is the burn rate?
The burn rate right now is we're up to about 350 a year. We kept Grizzly really, really tight. I mean, we cut back when things got tough. Like I said, people worked free, and our CFO worked for half of what we were paying them before. Different things like that, because they all believe in the company. They all believe in our projects. So our burn rate is roughly around 350 a year. That covers salaries, and that covers all our expenses, like our filing fees with the exchanges and all the different things like that.
All right. In closing, multi-layered question here. What is the next unanswered question for Grizzly Discoveries? When can we expect a response, and what determines success?
We're going to be drilling at the Imperial, the Midway, and the Sappho. We're targeting a couple grams per ton gold and higher grades, and that when we hit that and continue drilling, we'll have success from there.
Now, in terms of when can we expect a response, when do you think the market will get some results back on that?
Well, if we start drilling in July, we should start getting results back by October, November.
Roger that, sir. Now, germane to the company, what keeps you up at night that we don't know about?
For Grizzly, nothing keeps me up at night for Grizzly, because everything is covered off. The only thing that might keep me up at night is not being able to raise money in the market because of mitigating circumstances that we have no control of. That's the only thing.
All right, sir. Last question. What did I forget to ask? This is the part where you should pat me on the back and say, Maurice, you've covered everything.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Maurice, you covered most everything. I just want to tell people that we have been committed to this company. All the people are committed. All the people are working very, very hard for the shareholders, because we're all shareholders in this company. Everybody owns shares that works for Grizzly, owns shares in the company. And we all want to have success for ourselves and our shareholders.
All right.
Well, but you did do an excellent interview asking the question.
Well, thank you, sir. All right. Well, Mr. Testo, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Wishing you and Grizzly Discoveries the absolute best, sir.
Thank you, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. And I'll tell you, Maurice, that my dad's name was Mr. Testo. My name is Brian Grizz Testo, and my friends actually call me Grizz, G-R-I-Z.
All right, Grizz. Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
The information presented on Proven and Probable is provided for educational and informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. The information is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice, or any other advice. You should not make any financial, investment, or trading decision based on any of the information presented without first undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or competent financial advisor.